Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Julian and I just gave birth to my second daughter. Her name is Adelaide on June 25th. So today she is 9 days old. With my first daughter, I had to have a C-section because she was breech, coming out butt first. They call it Frank breech. It might be Franklin breech, but I think it's just Frank breech. And they didn't know that until I was fully dilated and like about to push her out, because they were feeling and they thought they felt a head, but it was actually her butt. So they didn't know that until I was fully dilated, and then I had to have an emergency C-section, which was fine. That all was fine. And I could have had just a repeat C-section with this one, but I didn't want that because I am a registered nurse. I just finished school in May and I did my OB clinical for like my internship. So like 72 hours I worked on an OB unit. And I saw a lot of C-sections and I didn't really like just how like scheduled they are and unemotional, and I don't know, that's just not what I wanted. I know a lot of people like the schedule of it and that they're in complete control, but that is not what I wanted. It's okay, it's okay. Hey. So I didn't want a repeat C-section with this one, but I was open to it. Like, I didn't have any complications with the C-section and the recovery was fine. But I wanted to try for a VBAC, which is vaginal birth after cesarean, and I ran into a few bumps in the road along the way. I had placenta previa at first until like around 32 weeks it resolved, but they had to watch that because if you have that then you have to have a C-section. But that resolved itself, but then she was breech, so this one was breech too and wanted to come out butt first, and I had to have a version and external cephalic version, they call it, when they turn the baby, and I had that at like 36 weeks I think it was, and that was really painful. So I had to have that to avoid a C-section as well. And then she was 9 days late. She was 9 days overdue when I had her. So I decided that I wanted to be induced, because if you've ever gone over your due date, like I was 1 day overdue with Lillian, my firstborn. And that was okay. Like, I wasn't expecting her to be born like right on my due date or anything. But with this one, 9 days overdue was like making me insane. I was like, every little feeling, I thought like, oh, maybe this is the start of labor. And like, I would get Braxton Hicks and sometimes they'd be super regular, and I thought for sure that I was going to go into labor, and it just never happened. So the day before I was induced, I had a prenatal appointment. It was my 41-week appointment, but it was actually when I was 8 days overdue. So they checked my cervix and I was 3 centimeters dilated, and the midwife, thought that they might just be able to break my water and induce me that way without Pitocin. So that's what she thought, and she also did a membrane sweep to try to start labor naturally, so I didn't have to be induced. But we scheduled an induction for the next day, and I kind of just planned on that. I felt like I wasn't going to go into labor naturally, and I didn't. So the next day we dropped Lillian off at Drew's parents, and we were already packed. We had already been packed for like 2 weeks, and we drove the hour, and I wasn't having contractions or anything, and we checked into the hospital like at 11:30 in the morning, and then it took like 2 hours for them to admit me and go over all the questions and everything. And then the midwife came in and checked me, and I was 4 centimeters dilated, and she broke my water right away at 1:30 because I had a posterior cervix, she called it, and I guess like my cervix was like the baby's head was so low. Lily, you have to be quiet, honey. You have to be quiet. I'm talking, okay? The baby's head was so low that she had to go like really far and to posteriorly, like towards my bottom, to get the cervix. Lily, every time she would check me, it was extremely uncomfortable and painful, and it was not fun at all. So I was a 4 when she checked me. She broke my water at 1:30, and I wasn't really feeling the contractions, but they kept telling me that I was having them. And some I could feel, but they still just felt like Braxton Hicks, and they weren't painful at all. So we were like walking the halls, and Drew was with me. He brought his guitar, he played music, and like we put music on in the room and watched TV, and I even like got my laptop and applied to a couple jobs. And I don't think she checked me again until 6:30, and at that point I was 5 centimeters dilated, and around 6:30 is when I started feeling the contractions and being in pain and uncomfortable. So I was still only 5 centimeters dilated, but she didn't want to start Pitocin because I told her that they were starting to get stronger and more painful. And they really didn't want to start Pitocin because I don't think midwives like doing that anyway, like using Pitocin anyway. But I had a risk for uterine rupture because of my previous C-section, and
it's puking. It's puking.
And if you're on Pitocin, you need more monitoring and all of that. So I didn't want that either. So around 6:30, I started feeling the contractions, and that's when I think like active labor started. So my back started hurting, so I was having Drew like push on my back during contractions, but they were still okay. I was just kind of like angry and in pain, and knew what was coming and kind of didn't want to do it. Because like up until that point I was like, okay, these contractions need to start, I want to get this over with. I was already 9 days late, and so, but when they started getting painful and uncomfortable, then I was like, okay, no, I don't want to do this. But Drew was there, and he did really well at being like my support person. The midwife had told me that she was gonna recheck my cervix after 3 hours, so around like 9:30. So I was contracting and in pain, and the nurse suggested that I get in the tub because we were actually in the water birth room, even though I couldn't have a water birth, but she said I could labor in the tub. So I decided to labor in the tub, even though I had thought that would be kind of gross because they broke my water, so I was having like the bloody show, and I thought it would be gross, but I decided to do it anyway. And it wasn't that bad. But I feel like it really did decrease the pain and kind of got my mind off the pain a little bit. But the contractions really started getting intense, and I like knowing that an epidural is there if I need one was kind of hard for me. So with Lillian, I knew I wanted an all-natural birth, or that ended up in a C-section with a spinal. So that didn't happen. And so this time around I was like, okay, I know that epidurals are a thing. Well, I knew about them with Lillian, but I knew more about them because I saw a lot of them on my OB rotation, and saw moms completely comfortable while they pushed their baby out. So it was a lot harder for me this time to go all natural. And so from 6:30 to 9:30, my contractions were really painful and strong, and like a minute apart, 2 minutes apart, like really close together. And then at 9:30,
Daddy.
do you need help, honey? Okay, you open it. So from 6:30 to 9:30, my contractions were very strong and painful. And then at 9:30, she checked me again, which I hated. I hated every time she checked me. It was so painful. And at 9:30, she had me get out of the tub to check me because my cervix was posterior and it was hard for her to reach in the tub. Otherwise, they can check you. So I had to get out of the tub, and I was only 7 centimeters dilated. And that was such a bummer to me because I was thinking, okay, this could still be a couple hours before I'm 10 centimeters and ready to push. And that was like devastating because I was in so much pain and I did not want to do that anymore. And I was having back labor again, like I did with Lillian, even though I thought I only had back labor with Lillian because she was frank breech. But I was having back labor. I was only 7 centimeters dilated, and the midwife suggested that I get back in the tub because that was most comfortable for me. So I got back in the tub, and then the contractions were even closer together, like maybe a minute apart, and so painful. My back felt like it was breaking. I was going crazy. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was screaming. And oh, okay. It's okay. You're okay. Kind of just lost my mind a little bit just because I thought, wow, this could be 2 more hours. So I did end up, like after a really bad contraction, I ended up saying that I need drugs. And the midwife was like, I could tell she was kind of like disappointed that I even said that. But, you gonna puke on me? But she was like, okay, well, you're the boss, you tell me what to do. And then like maybe a minute later, or maybe like 1 contraction later, I felt something really weird. Like it was almost like something like clicked into place, and then I felt a weird sensation, and then they said that, or the nurse said that I had bloody show or whatever, and so there was blood in the tub, and so they were gonna have me get out and check me. And then while I got out of the tub onto the bed, I told her that I felt like I needed to push, and she said, okay, then go ahead and push. And that part was not fun at all. I was actually most scared of that part because that was really the only part that I didn't do with Lillian, was pushing her out. I went through the whole labor naturally with her and even had back labor with her, but I didn't push her out. So I was most scared for that part. So I was like, I lost my mind completely at that point and was screaming my head off. It was really painful. Like, I guess I've heard that pushing is like a relief, but it was just really painful. Drew, can you close the door? And but I think it was just because I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I didn't know that you were supposed to wait for the contraction to come and then like hold your breath, and I didn't know what to do at first. So at first I was just freaking out, and then they like explained it to me, and then eventually it was kind of relieving. But then when she was actually coming out was like the most pain I've ever been in. The like ring of fire. Oh my word, that hurts so bad. It literally feels like you're on fire. So, and then I started having, or the baby, Adelaide, started having decelerations, which I knew what that meant. I knew that that meant that her heart rate was decelerating with my contractions because she wasn't getting enough blood flow or oxygen. So they put oxygen on me, and that kind of freaked me out and made me think, okay, I just need to push her out as fast as I can. And so I did. I pushed her out like really fast, and I did tear because I pushed her out so fast. And well, the midwife said that most first-time moms, even though I'm not a first-time mom, but that was my first vaginal delivery, they usually do tear. So I did tear. It was only a 2nd degree, which isn't that bad. It's just the tissue and muscle on your perineum. It's just like there's 1 to 4th degree tears, and mine was a 2nd. So she did have to stitch me up, which wasn't nice. But, okay, so I pushed her out in like 12 minutes. It only took like 12 minutes of pushing, and really only like 2 real pushes, I feel, because that's when I like really knew what I was doing. And then she came out, and I was like in shock. Like, Drew was crying, but I wasn't, and they had to tell me to grab her, even though they were like holding her up waiting for me to grab her, but they had to tell me to grab her, and I was just completely out of it. So I did grab her, and they handed me a blanket, and I cleaned her off, which was really, really cute. It's a lot different than a C-section, where I couldn't even hold her for like her first 10 minutes of life or whatever. But so she was out and still like connected to the umbilical cord. They hadn't cut that yet, but Drew got to cut that. And then she stitched me up, which took like half an hour. It felt like forever. It was really painful, and I was really still in a lot of pain. Like, everything down there was just so sensitive. Like, even when she was still attached to the umbilical cord and they would move her a little bit, or I would move her a little bit, I could feel that, and it was not comfortable. But delivering the placenta wasn't bad. Actually, I was scared for that, but that wasn't that bad. And even like the fundal massages that they do afterwards, I had heard were really painful, and they weren't painful at all with Lillian, like after a C-section, because I still had the spinal medication to help. But this time they were pretty painful, but still not that painful, I didn't think. So after she stitched me up, they weighed Adelaide, and she weighed 6 pounds 12 ounces, which is actually 1 ounce smaller than my other daughter, which was surprising because she was 9 days overdue. but she was perfectly healthy. Everything looked good, and I got up to use the bathroom like 2 hours after delivery, which was great. And after she gave me ibuprofen and Tylenol, which they always do after a vaginal delivery, and if you have a C-section, they give you something stronger at first, but the ibuprofen and Tylenol worked perfectly, and they gave me like an ice pack for down there, and that helped. So I was pretty comfortable actually the rest of the night. And so she was, okay, I forgot to say this, but at 9:30 when she checked me and I was 7 centimeters dilated, she was born at 10:27. So it wasn't even an hour after she had checked me and I was at 7 that I delivered her. So it didn't take as long as I thought at all, and there wouldn't have even been time to get an epidural. So it all went really well. It was traumatic, like extremely painful, like kill me now painful. It really was very painful, and I don't know if I can do that again without any medication. But it was great. The recovery has been a breeze, like no big deal. When we were discharged, the day we were discharged, we like took a walk as a family, and I've felt great. I did want to I wanted to video the labor and delivery, but I only got a few clips of me in labor, and then one after she was born. And I will insert those probably after the video. We got what we could, and the experience was wonderful overall. Like, a vaginal delivery, medication free, was definitely worth doing, I think. Like, I don't regret it. It was extremely painful, like more painful than I could have imagined, even though I went through the labor with Lillian, but even the added like pushing her out was more painful than I could have imagined, but it was worth it. And she's here, and recovery has been great, and we are very blessed and thankful for how it went. So that is the end of this birth vlog / story. It's mostly a story, but I will insert the clips that we got. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did like it, and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be posting more like newborn videos, and that will also have my toddler in it. And I'm also looking for RN jobs, so I might do a video about that as well. So subscribe to my channel if you like this, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to hopefully be the birth vlog of our second baby. I was actually due on the 16th, and today is the 25th, right? Yeah. So she's 9 days overdue. And I've been to the doctor, and they've tried like sweeping my membranes and everything, and I am dilated to a 3 as of yesterday, but nothing's happening. So we're gonna go in. The midwife yesterday thought that maybe they would just break my water and I'd start contracting. So hopefully that's what's gonna happen. Otherwise I'll have to have Pitocin. But since I had a VBAC with since I had a C-section with my first baby, I already have to have like an IV put in and continuous monitoring, which is fine because I'm a little worried about why she's not coming out and why I've been pregnant so long. So it's kind of nice that they're gonna monitor me continuously. But we're on our way now. Drew's here. And we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna try to video as much as I can. Okay, so we got here at like 11:30 in the morning, and it's 2 right now. I just ordered food because they're gonna let me eat, which I didn't know, but that's exciting. She broke my water like an hour ago, and my dilated to a 4. So she broke my water because the baby was really low, and we're waiting to see if I just start contracting with just that, but I really haven't been yet, and it's been an hour. I've had like 1 or 2, but they said that they'll give that a couple hours and then see if they need to start me on Pitocin. They haven't put my IV in or anything yet, which is kind of nice, so we're just hanging out, watching TV, and waiting for my food, and it's going pretty well so far. Okay, she just checked me again. It's 6:46 and I am 5 centimeters. And when she checked me the first time, I was 4 and I was 3 in the clinic yesterday. So I've progressed a little bit, but I feel like labor like just started because I'm starting to feel the contractions and they're starting to be really painful. So we're gonna try to find like a movie or something on TV and watch that until I start to be in a lot of pain, and then I'll probably get in a tub because they have a nice tub for water births. They won't let me birth in the water, but I can labor. And then she's gonna check me again at like 9 o'clock. But so far I haven't needed any Pitocin, so that's been good. But I'll update you later.
How you feeling?
Good.
You okay?
Drew, stop it. Oh, that wasn't even like 1 minute apart.
Good. It's about time. So it's almost 8:30.
I think she'll check me in like half an hour or an hour. Your bottom at all. Oh, good work, Mama.
Say hi, baby. Say hi, baby. How'd it go?
Don't ask me that, Drew. I don't know how to answer that. We had a baby. She's beautiful and perfect. There was nothing wrong with her.
Hey, sweetie. What a cutie.
There wasn't even a concern. Except she did have a knot in her cord, which could have been really bad. Like when she was in my belly.
I should show them a video of that.
But it didn't affect her. She didn't tighten it enough for it to affect her blood flow. Or
This is really yucky. Maybe you can get a screenshot of that. Perfect or not.
So right now it is 12:30 a.m. So like the next morning. She
What
was
is it?
born at
Wednesday morning? Tuesday morning? No,
Wednesday morning, the 26th.
Wednesday morning.
And she was born at 10:30 on the 25th. And last time I updated you, I don't even remember, a 5, I think, at like 6:30. And she checked me at like 9:45, and I was a 7. And then it got so painful. And I progressed really quickly and had her at 10:30.
Drug free.
Yeah, no epidural.
Completely
no drugs at all,
natural.
not even
No
Pitocin.
Pitocin, just broken water.
Yeah, they just broke my water and everything happened. Really, it happened from like 6:30 to 10:30, so 4 hours was like active labor.
Good job.